Hello everybody! Today we are going to talk about TimeToast in our professional development session. This is a website that allows you to make interactive timelines online that can be published and shared with other viewers. So the website that we're going to start with is www.timetoast.com, and this is the home page. So, and that right there is a sponsored timeline, history of baseball. So let's start by signing in, and we will look at some timelines that I've made. So sign up. Alright, so there are three membership options when you sign up for timetoast.com. There's the basic, which is $5.99 a month. It allows you to have 5 users. It is ad-free. You can collaborate among the users, and you can create groups and moderate any comments left on the timelines. Then you can go up to the $8.99 a month. That's our pro membership. This is the same thing as the basic, except it allows you to have 35 users. So this would be more of a classroom setting. Again, it's ad-free. You can collaborate among users, you can create groups within that 35 users, and you can moderate any comments left on the timelines. And then there's the public membership, which is free, and it allows 1 user. It is ad-supported, so there are ads on the page, and the timelines that are produced on this membership are public, so anyone can see them. But I think that's a benefit, and we'll talk about that a little bit more into our video. So I have the public account, and I would recommend that students get the public account also, because each student can have their own account and they can make their own timelines and have their own dashboard, and that could be used for multiple classes. So I would recommend the free one. Okay, so let's sign in and look at mine. You use your username and password to sign in, your email to sign in. Okay, so I have 2 timelines. This is my dashboard. And this up here, groups, users, and notifications, I don't use that because I don't have the paid membership, so I can't be part of groups. And there are no multiple users in my account, so I'm the only user. And notifications, I don't usually get notifications because I'm not part of an online collaboration. However, if you encourage that with your students, they will see notifications here. So let's click on one to see an example. F. Scott Fitzgerald's life. Okay, so this is a timeline that I made about F. Scott Fitzgerald. So it ranges from his birth in 1896 to his death in 1940, and I will show you briefly how to set up a timeline and how to get that range. Each little dot on our timeline is an event that I've created, and I put the picture in myself. This is just a little generic picture about a baby. Fitzgerald was born on this day, and I'll show you how to add those. Okay, and I do his first move, second move, he publishes his first novel, he gets engaged to Zelda, he has a baby girl, publishes The Great Gatsby, and then he dies. Okay, so that's the entire timeline. And here, down here, we have the specific dates, 24th of September, 1896 to the 21st of December, 1940. And I have titled this English 11 Biography of F. Scott Fitzgerald. Okay, so there's a couple options for the sizing here. You can make it bigger, or you can make it full screen. I prefer the littlest size because then you can scroll up and down and you can view the comments more easily. There are no comments on this because I haven't used it in a classroom yet, but when you use it and have students interact online, they can comment on each other's timelines, and this is where it would appear. And you'll notice these are our advertisements because I have the free account. So we have an advertisement there for Amazon and Yogi, Discover. So that could be distracting for students that have trouble focusing in class. However, for the benefits of having a free membership, I think it's worth it. And you'll just have to have that discussion with your students about staying appropriate at school and making sure that you're focusing on the content and not on the advertisements. Okay, you can also switch it from timeline to a list if you prefer a list view. This doesn't have all the fun little movements, but it's easier to see, and this is your line down the middle. Okay, and these are the different dots. So he's born, and then he moves for the first time, and the pictures are larger, so it's easier to see. And this would be easier for students to understand. If they have visual difficulties, it would be easier for them to see it. It's not quite as interactive, but it is more straightforward. Okay, So let's go back and show you how to make a timeline really briefly. So we'll go to our dashboard. Okay, and let's add timeline. And we'll do one on the story arc for Frozen. Okay, we're going to leave it as a draft for right now. Category, it's a film, so we'll put it as film. And then you can upload a photo here, but for the sake of time, we're going to skip that for now. Create timeline. Okay, and there we go. There's our basic timeline. Let's add a time span. So we'll say Frozen story arc. And I did some research. Frozen is supposed to have been set in 1780, so we will say, and it's in the summer, so we'll say it started in May and it goes to August. Okay, and let's create time span. And then across the bottom here, we'll see this is our timeline. Okay, let's add an event, and this will be welcome to Arendelle, and that's our setting. So we'll change the date here. We'll make it kind of ballparking. We'll make it the 5th of May of 1780, and we are introduced to the characters Elsa and Anna in Arendelle. Okay, and I'm just doing this really quickly for you just to show you how to do it. Okay, and here all of these images are already in my image bank because I've already uploaded them. I've made timelines that use all these images. However, if you don't have any images here, you can upload an image from your computer. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so this is my folder that has Frozen images and Arendelle setting. And then you upload it, and it will appear here. It's easiest if you have students create a folder of images before they get onto timetoast.com. That'll save them some time. Otherwise, they'll be trying to find images as they're creating the timeline, and it takes twice as long. Okay, and it's uploading, and that takes some time. Okay, there we go, done. Create event. Okay, so there we go, that's our first event. Welcome to Arendelle. We've added a little description there, we've got our date. If you have a problem with anything that you've added here, you can just click on it and fix it. So say we wanted it to be the 6th of May, we can click on it and fix it, update it. You can add links to websites if you want to send the audience to somewhere else on the web. You can add to your description. Oh. Okay. You can delete the event if you want to just completely start over from scratch. You can change the image. Okay, so let's do update event. Alright, and then when you're done with this and you want to publish the timeline, you are going to hit view this timeline. And right now we only have the one, so it's kind of sad looking. And they give you all of this space, so when you have your students make the timeline, make sure that you encourage them to use all of the space to write their description. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to tips for using this in the classroom. Okay, so this can be used in any content area. I am English, so I like to use it as a story arc lesson, so students can use this to create an idea of how the story progresses with the conflict. So conflict is introduced in the introduction, gets worse through the rising action, culminates at the climax, gets a little bit better at the falling action, and then is resolved at the conclusion of the story. So I like to have students do the story arc on timetoast.com. You can also have them do the biography of an author or of an important historical figure. You can have them do a timeline of a battle or of a war. You can have them do timeline of theories in math, or you can have them do number lines in math. So there's a whole lot of options here. You can have them do timelines of scientific theories or inventions. So there's a bunch of ways to apply this to any content area. And it helps the students to engage in higher level thinking because they're creating their own product using research that they've conducted themselves. So they're allowed to be creative. They can pick their own pictures here. You get those off of Google or any other website and save it and upload it to their timeline, so they have an aspect of creativity, but they are also conducting research. So it's text-based responses. So the students need to provide evidence that what they've put here is correct. And also you can promote collaboration between students because the students can publish this timeline and then have peers comment on it about advice or things that they would change, constructive criticism, and then they can go back in and edit their timeline if they would like to change it just by clicking Edit Timeline. When they're done, if they want to, it's public, so they can share it with their parents, share it with family members, post it on social media if they're really proud of their work. So there really is a lot of opportunity for collaboration on the web through this Web 2.0 tool. And just a couple tips for implementing this in your own classroom. I would be really specific with the guidelines and the tasks that you give the students because, as you see, the website is not going to stop you from just putting a one-line description. So students who don't understand that they need to be giving all this detail may just include a one-sentence description, and their timeline could be really missing in major detail. So make sure that you're clear with the description. That way students understand what's expected of them, and they give you in-depth analysis rather than just kind of flimsy little answers. I would also encourage that you consider time management as an important factor of this lesson. Do not try and do all of this in one day because the students will struggle to get it all done and you'll end up with products that are not fully developed. If you want the students to do this as a class, because I've done that before, you could have the students create it independently, and then I would say your second day of that lesson would be having the students input the information into a timeline together. Because doing it all in one day is just too much to do and it doesn't give you a cohesive lesson. If you don't have enough technology in your school to have each student work on the timeline independently, you can also make this a group project. So one group member creates an account and then the students work together to create a timeline. And their dashboard, it would be a group effort. So their dashboard would be like group 1 and all of their timelines that they've created as a group would show up here. You could also do it in partners. And however, another thing to consider, if your students don't have the technology in the school, they might not have the technology at home either. So I would not recommend giving this as a homework assignment unless you're in a highly affluent district, because you don't want students to be unable to participate as a result of the lack of technology at home. So just be aware of that and be careful with that. And then the last thing that I would say, if you're going to use this in the classroom, is that you can use public timelines if you want. Instead of creating your own to teach lessons, there's a whole bunch of public timelines that have been created by other users. So these are categories up here, and if you saw just now, I clicked on public timelines, and you can get into any category: science and technology, film, music, art and culture is more of an English category. And then just go through and you can find, so there's cultural perspective, there's virtual museum, Claude Monet, and down here also there's popular timelines, so there's an Edgar Allan Poe one, French Revolution, the Age of Reason. So I'm just showing you English ones, but there's timelines for every category. The only thing that you need to consider here is that these are user generated, so they may not be completely accurate. I would definitely check the facts before you show this in the classroom. But this would maybe be a good lesson for students to fact check on their own. They could analyze a public timeline in a group and determine which is accurate and which is not. So there you go. That's a very brief overview of timetoast.com. I hope you enjoyed. I love to use this in my classroom. I think it's a lot of fun. The students really enjoy it. And it's a great way to get them involved in something higher order thinking and something that's more interactive and collaborative than just making a timeline on a piece of paper or as a class on the chalkboard. Okay, so have fun with the rest of the professional development. I hope you learned something new, and I hope that you can use this in your own classroom. Thank you.